Hello guys, we will start with a broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargo section at 10:30 PM tonight. No live tweeting during the broadcast section and use a microphone provided. Gail.
Hello again. Shall we start with some good injury news, Ange? Because I don't think those words have been in a sentence, have they, for a while? The joy at having the likes of Vicario, Maddison and Destiny back, and what that gives you on Sunday in terms of fresh bodies but fresh minds and people raring to go, I imagine.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's been a good week, fair to say, in terms of the health and well-being of the group of young men I look after. I think that the guys who have been playing have benefited a fair bit from having a couple of days off and just regenerating, and I think that's been really important for us. And on the injury front, certainly good to have some significant players back for training purposes to start with, because it just raised the level and the quality of our training, and but also in terms of helping us from a playing perspective. Vicario, yes, trained really well. He's good to go. Matters is good to go. And then we've had Destiny, Wilson, Brennan, also training with the group. They're in a good space as well. So, like I said, it's been a good training week.
In terms of Romero and Van der Ven, obviously we've seen bits of Van der Ven, haven't we? And you were a bit more hopeful that they might be back around now. Has there been a sort of setback, or you're just having to be super, super cautious?
No, it's not either. It's about sort of, like I said, with Mickey, it's just, we made a decision, and I was certainly the catalyst of that, to just have a look at exactly beyond the injury how we can get him back in a good space. So he's doing some different things. He's working with some different people, just to not as much about the injury as much about just the mechanics of him, and because we want him back, and we want him back in a real good space, and he's training. He feels really good. So we're still confident. It's going to be his return is imminent, but we just want to make sure we get it right. With Romero, it's just been a kind of healing issue. The injury hadn't healed up as quickly as we thought it would, which, again, we could have pushed him, risked it, but we've kind of just waited and given it a bit more time, so we'll get some clear indication as to his healing, and depending on that, again, his return could be imminent as well.
And I know we spoke a bit about United this morning, but when Ruben Amorim came in, he came in with a very clear way of the way he wanted to play football, and I mean, something you obviously aspired to do as well. And how much respect do you have to give him, given the noise going on, given the problems that are clearly going on at that club, in terms of him keeping what he wants to do in that kind of, in that focus?
Yeah, look, I've said before, I've got respect for all managers because I know how tough it is, but I'm sure if you asked Ruben, that he would say, well, he's just doing what he was brought in to do. And there's no point, he's come in to, obviously they've scouted him, they've identified him, the way he plays, the way he goes about his business. You don't just make these appointments because, you like the look of someone. You do actually a lot of work, and you bring him in with a purpose. Now, if anyone believes that anything can change significantly in a short space of time, are living in an alternate universe that's not based in reality, I'm sure if, who am I to sort of advise anybody, but, if Man United stuck with Ruben for the next 2 years, they'd see progress, absolutely, because that's how long it takes. And if somebody can show me somebody who's done it quicker, without significant investment, by all means, put it across my desk and I'll follow that blueprint. But we know there's a blueprint there. And, I'm sure, irrespective of the noise, and like I said, I've only literally spoken to Ruben maybe for 30 seconds at a game. I'm sure he's there and he's going, what I'm going to do what I was brought in to do. And that's what he should do.
Ian, please.
Hi, Ange, how are you?
I'm good.
So Romero and Van de Ven possibly back imminently. Can you be more specific?
No, mate, because it's. I'm not a doctor, and also, as I keep saying, there's a barrier that you can't cross when you're talking about people, and whether that's injuries or medically. As I said, I'm not. Unless you want to call me a liar, what I'm saying is that both of them are training. There's evidence of that if you want that. Both of them are in a good place in terms of their recovery. Different reasons we've held both back, and once they're right, they'll be in.
I most certainly was not calling you a liar, and I'm just thinking because you've now got seemingly from the outside all or nothing on the Europa League this season. Are you saving them for that competition?
No, and we're not all or nothing on anything. We still want to progress in the league. We're not happy with the position we're in. There's still significant games. Not like there's only a few games to go. There's still a lot of football to be played in the league, and we want to address our league position and finish the season strong. And alongside that, like you said, you're perfectly right that obviously the Europa League now is a great focus for us with us being out of the other cups. But we're not saving anyone for anything, because ultimately what I want is both Mickey and Romero have had disrupted seasons in that, they've got injured, come back, got injured again. I don't want the same scenario. Whilst it may look with Mickey like we had a false start with the Elswald thing, I just thought he gave us an indication of where he's at. And we could have pushed on, absolutely. We could have pushed on with Romero, but my view is let's get him back and get him back right till the end of the season so that we give them a chance as well to kind of make a contribution to hopefully a strong finish for us.
And finally, undoubtedly, this has been probably one of your best weeks the whole season because you've had a chance to.
We haven't had a game.
You haven't had a game, yeah.
And we haven't lost. Yeah, it's been a decent week, yeah. Fair to say.
I wasn't going to mention the losing, but
That's all right.
But in all seriousness, do you feel like your old self again? Because there've been times the last few weeks whereby
You've been grumpy.
You've been a little bit grumpy, yeah.
Fair enough too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like, I've had to do this 3 times a week, sometimes on 0 sleep. Cut me a little bit of slack. I mean, I can't be bubbly and cheery all the time. No, look, I fair to say, I appreciated the fact there wasn't a game this week. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had dinner with my family last night. My boy said, "It seems like you haven't had a game for a while, Dad. It's only been 4 days." But that's the cycle we've all been in, and not just me, the other coaches. It's certainly, when you're going at it all the time, you do get into this cycle where it does become a bit of a grind, but you have to do it. There's no alternative. I can't not do things that I'm responsible for. So having the opportunity of, like I said, even this, not having to front up, 2 or 3 times and kind of answer the same kinds of questions allows you to sort of just take a breath and, hopefully I'm back to whatever I was before. But
you do feel like a new man.
I'm the same man. I feel like the same man I've always been, and I'm sure that grumpiness will emerge at the appropriate time if it needs.
Hi, Ange. How important is it to have Vicario and maybe Maddison's leadership back in there?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, both of them, particularly Vic, because with Vic, it's not just he's an outstanding goalkeeper. Even training today, he's such a presence amongst the boys. He really gets everyone going, and it's been tough without him because we've used 3 other goalkeepers, and all of them have contributed. None of them have sort of let us down. It's just that Vic's like I said, he's experienced. He's got this strong personality. So great to have him back. And Matt is the same. Matt has got enormous self-belief, and that sort of filters through the team as well. So I think the energy and, like I said, experience they bring. I've already noticed the training will certainly make a difference for us.
Maddison a doggy able to start if you need them, or is it more a bench role?
Matt is a possibility. Destiny, he's, with the guys who've missed a little bit more. I mean, Matt has sort of been the shorter term one. We'll see whether they start or on the bench. I mean, again, looking at our schedule, we've got another good week next week where no game, we can train, and then we've got a midweeker. And what I really want is to get to that space. We've got a midweeker where, you know, the likes of Destiny, Wilson, Brennan, Timo at a stretch, or get some game time so that, you know, if we need to rotate for Ipswich into City, that these guys have played significant minutes.
It's interesting earlier you were saying about working with Mickey on maybe the mechanics of his body.
Yeah.
Is that because of the previous hamstring injuries that are before Spurs as well? Is that kind of just...
Yeah, it's just him understanding his body. And look, it's not my space, but, you know, you kind of look for the experts in those areas, and there's been various people are sort of looking at different ways, because he's you know, he is an elite athlete, but he's also at the extremities of kind of speed, and with all those kind of athletes, you know, there are different methodologies in how to get to the space where they can perform at that optimum level without putting their body at risk. And so, you know, he's still a very young man in terms of footballing, both experience and his career. So we want to get it right, because, you know, what you want is, you know, Mickey to play 10 years at the best possible level, and, you know, this gives us an opportunity, hopefully, to kind of address as much as we can in season, to give him the best chance of getting back to the level you know he can get to.
Just very quickly, just the last one. It's the first chance to ask you about the Europa League squad changes you made.
It's always good.
Had to get it in there. Can you just explain the 3 changes? Really?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously with Radu going down, we're kind of short a central defender there, and with Mickey and Romero still, you know, we've got to see when they go back. I think it made sense for us to bring Kevin and Jed back into the squad, and obviously, you know, keen to bring Matty in as well. That's why we signed him. So we can only make the 3 changes. We're obviously still kind of limited because we don't have sort of club trained, and that's going to be an issue for us for the next couple of years. So that kind of limits the opportunities for us to tinker anymore. But with the 3 changes, I thought they were the logical ones.
Hi, Ange. From what you're saying, it sounded like Vicario's still the number 1 goalkeeper. Now he's back. I was just wondering how you see the relationship between him and Kinski, and how well Kinski's done, and how he can progress as well.
He's still the number 1. I mean, you know, he got injured when we beat Man City and we were 5th on the table. So, you know, he wasn't dropped. So he was injured. So he's back now, and certainly we're happy to have him back. I've been really happy with Tony. You know, even at Villa, I mean, obviously, you know, he made the mistake, but his reaction to that was, I thought, outstanding for a 21-year-old in that environment to bounce back from a mistake like that. I mean, we've thrown him in and given him some enormous tasks with very little sort of preparation, and I just think he's going to be an outstanding goalkeeper. And you know, Brandon as well, you know, has really grown through this period. So I know Birchie's really happy now with the goalkeeping group, in that, you know, we've got a really strong goalkeeping group now that can push each other, and you know, really pleased to get Tony into the club, because we think he's going to be an outstanding goalkeeper, and no better one to work alongside than Vic.
I was at Aston Villa, and obviously you got asked about your style of play after that game, and I was also looking at the data, and the intensity's been dialed down maybe for the last 4 games for obvious reasons. But I was wondering, with the week off, you know, with players coming back, can you kind of go back towards what you believe in?
We never stop going towards what we believe in. It's just that we weren't able to do it. As I said after the game, it's you know, you're talking about players who are fatigued, tired, mentally, physically, facing enormous challenges with, you know, 60-hour intervals. There hasn't been a change of approach. What the week does give us, it does give us a chance to sort of re-energise and hopefully you know, allow us to better execute, you know, the kind of football we want to play.
That style of football that you're known for, that's going to continue really from now on, do you hope? Is that the kind of aim and plan?
It's always been the aim. It's never changed. It's never wavered from that. That's the kind of football we want to play. It's the kind of team we want to be. And you know, with like I said, the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks allows us to both get some players back, which will help with our training, help with our preparation, help with our sort of ability to rotate, but also not having midweek games gives us a good chance to recover between games to reach those levels.
Hi, Ange. Just wanted to ask one about Sonny. Just as captain, can you give us a bit of an insight about the sort of things he does off the pitch, you know, sort of behind the scenes? Because I imagine his leadership's been quite important during a difficult period.
Yeah, look, you know, he's you know, I think with Sonny, the main thing is he kind of, you know, sets a standard in terms of the way he trains, the way he prepares himself. He sets the example with you know, his everything he does in and around the club and outside the club, and you know, he tries to be a positive sort of influence on everyone, keep everyone's sort of mind focused in a positive way, and it hasn't been easy because he has been feeling the same as the other players, you know, fatigue, and it's hard to kind of, you know, put that to one side as an individual because you're a leader and sort of try to transfer that positiveness to others. But I think, you know, for him and, you know, I think some of the other guys have stepped up as well in this period. The fact that the players have kind of stuck together through that whole process, or, you know, that at no stage do they kind of splinter off or, you know, look to absolve any responsibility of themselves as individuals, is a testament to the fact that, you know, that there's a good bonding there that's been sort of laid down, you know, by Sonny and the other leaders that, you know, hopefully now he gets a bit of help, like I said, with guys like Vic and Matters, who are on our leadership group, you know, Romero's the other one, that can help him sort of, you know, carry the load.
Did you sort of feel those, as captain, obviously having been here for so many years, that he sort of felt that sense of responsibility a bit more during this sort of difficult period?
I think, yeah, I'm sure he did, but that's the nature of leadership. You know, there's no point taking on a leadership role if you don't want that responsibility. That's an essential core part of, you know, leading people, is that, you know, during tough times you have to carry the extra load. Otherwise, you know, you're better off not being in that position. So but it is, it's not easy, and you know, it requires a lot of sort of discipline and internal sort of fortitude to make sure that you're constantly putting aside your own personal you know, feelings for the better of the group.
Finish with Dan, please.
And just one more on Mickey, if I can. I mean, you said you're kind of seeing different people. Are you speaking to people from outside the club? Is that to kind of get expert advice on it?
Yeah, we always are, but yeah, we've kind of had a couple of people externally have a look at him and sort of you know, give him some more sort of guidance and information, and to our staff as well about some things he can do maybe differently, which will help him, like I said, as much a bit around sort of not the injury, but just making sure that, you know, his body is better equipped to handle the kind of athlete he is.
How frustrating is it for him? Because I remember his interview after the Europa League game. You know, he seemed so pleased to be back. I guess he's very frustrated.
Yeah, he was frustrated, but, you know, I had a good chat to him, and I just, you know, because he just wanted to, I guess he probably just wanted to keep going, but I just said to him, look, it's, you know, he's still got a 10-year career in front of him, and, you know, once he's well into his career and he's flying, you know, this period will see him insignificant of an extra 2 or 3 weeks for the benefit, hopefully, of him, like I said, coming back and playing to the levels. He's a big part of this football club, and not just for the now, but for the future as well. And it's in our interest. You always got to protect your assets, and he's a major asset of this football club. And his career is much more important than 1 or 2 weeks of, you know, just doing some extra work.
At any point, have you worried that either Mickey or Kuti might need surgery?
No, never close to. No, neither of them ever been discussed. The injuries aren't. I'm not. Again, I don't know why people think I'm hiding stuff, and maybe I don't know. I don't explain myself clearly. The injuries were the injuries. Kuti had a quad strain and Mickey had a hamstring. It wasn't like when Wilson did his hamstring, he had surgery. There was no issue there, and he was out for 3 months. Mickey was never ever close, never discussed. It was never. But when you re-injure something, then there's invariably a more cautious approach. When it's somebody like Mickey, who's like I said, an extreme athlete, I think you need, in my experience, just take it a little bit further. But surgery is never ever entered any discussion with either player. Now, if we push them back early and they weren't ready, then that becomes a real issue, and which we tried to avoid that. But it was never surgery. The injury was the injury. It was a hamstring. Kuti, it's a quad, and they're both. Like I said, with Mickey, there's no issue around the injury anymore. It's just more about mechanics. With Kuti, it was just healing slower than we thought it would.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on to the embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Tom?
Sorry to